When did you have to claw your way to freedom? Right after I turned 18, when my mother told me I had 6 months to donate all my viable eggs to my younger sister because she'd decided I was too genetically flawed to carry our family bloodline myself. Mom had always ranked her daughters like livestock. She kept charts comparing our height, weight, grades, and even facial symmetry. My sister Ruby always scored higher because she had mom's green eyes while I inherited dad's brown ones. Mom called me the practice child and said my only purpose was preparing her to raise Ruby properly. She made me take genetic tests at 16 that showed I carried a recessive gene for nearsightedness. Mom acted like I'd personally betrayed her by having imperfect DNA. But then she found out something much worse. It turned out Ruby was completely infertile. Suddenly my inferior eggs were worth their weight in gold. Now they were all she and Ruby had. On my 18th birthday, Mom presented medical documents from a fertility clinic. She'd already scheduled my egg harvesting procedures and paid the deposit. She explained that my contaminated genetics made me unsuitable for motherhood, but my eggs could be cleansed by being carried by Ruby. Your sister has the superior womb and deserves your healthy eggs since she'll actually honor our bloodline properly. She said I needed to undergo hormone injections immediately to stimulate egg production for multiple harvests. If I refused, she'd throw me out with nothing because defective daughters who won't help their superiors deserve poverty. Mom had pulled me from school years earlier for homeschooling, claiming public education would corrupt me. Now I understood she'd been isolating me for this moment. The hormone injections at the clinic made me violently ill with constant nausea and blinding headaches, but the staff was incredibly kind, especially a young nurse named Caleb who held my hand during the painful procedures. He'd whisper, "You're so brave," and sneak me extra juice boxes when I got dizzy. Ruby came to every appointment, planning her future children out loud while I lay there swollen and sick. She'd already decorated a nursery in her mind and talked about how grateful her babies would be that their real mother wasn't genetically defective. The worst part was signing documents acknowledging I'd have no parental rights to any children born from my eggs. Mom made me practice saying aunt instead of mama, so I wouldn't confuse the future babies. After particularly brutal hormone shots left me sobbing, Caleb stayed late to comfort me. He said he'd been watching my case and couldn't stand seeing me suffer. "What if I told you there's a way out?" he whispered. He explained that his cousin ran a women's shelter 2 states away where I could hide until I turned 18, and the contracts became invalid. For the first time in months, I felt hope. Caleb became my secret lifeline, texting me escape plans and promising to drive me himself after my next appointment. The night before my final retrieval surgery, Caleb picked me up in his car as planned. We drove for hours while he told me about how he'd become a nurse to help women in situations like mine. He'd already arranged everything at the shelter and even found me a job at a bookstore. I felt safe for the first time in months, finally free from the hormones destroying my body. At a rest stop, Caleb bought me dinner and held my hand across the table. "Tomorrow you start your new life," he said. "No more needles, no more contracts, just freedom." I went to the bathroom feeling lighter than air, but when I returned, I overheard him on the phone and my blood went cold. "Yeah, I've got her. Tell the mother we'll be at the clinic by morning. She's so hopped up on hormones she actually thinks I'm saving her." My supposed savior was delivering me straight back to Mom for the egg retrieval. I pretended I hadn't heard and waited until Caleb went to pay the bill. Then I grabbed his keys and ran to his car, locking myself inside while he pounded on the windows. He screamed, "Your mom paid me $50,000 to bring you back. Those eggs are worth a fortune to desperate women." I drove off in his car while he chased me through the parking lot, but Mom had been tracking Caleb's phone. Police pulled me over 2 hours later, claiming I'd stolen a vehicle and kidnapped myself from medical treatment. Mom had reported me as mentally unstable from hormone treatments, saying I needed immediate psychiatric intervention. They took me straight to the clinic where Mom was waiting with Ruby and a team of doctors ready to perform the retrieval immediately. "Did you really think some minimum wage nurse would choose you over $50,000? Mom said. "Even strangers know you're only valuable for your eggs." The police officer asked why they needed to retrieve my eggs immediately if I was mentally unstable. The clinic director started explaining the narrow harvesting window when the officer cut him off and demanded to see my consent forms. They only had signatures from Mom and Ruby. The officer arrested Mom for trafficking.